Hi, I'm Alex. I'm an ex-IELTS examiner and an expert teacher here at E2 Language. How do you come up with ideas for your IELTS writing task 2? And how do you develop those ideas into paragraphs in an opinion essay? That's what we're going to explore in this video. I'm going to talk about idea generation before the test as well as on test day. I'm going to share with you a life-saving tip which will help you to score band 7 and above. And I'm going to write an introduction and invite you to do the same. So let's talk idea generation before the test. We're lucky these days that we have access to the internet, and you should be leveraging that to your advantage in your IELTS preparation. When you get an essay topic, any essay topic, even a really simple one like we're going to use today, you should take the time to Google it and try to read or listen to something on that topic. Not only will it give you a different perspective, maybe, or somebody else's opinion, but it's a great way to find topic-specific vocabulary and collocations that you can integrate into your own writing and into your own language. Here's the topic we're going to work with today. All students should study art and music in school. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now, that's a fairly simple topic, and maybe you already have ideas on the subject, but in your preparation, you should still Google it. I'm not going to teach you how to Google, but I do want to just give you a couple of suggestions. So one is to just type in something like this: benefits of art, music, education, see what pops up. And another idea is to put the name of a resource or a newspaper that you like in front of it. Here's a couple that I would really recommend. One is The Conversation. If you type The Conversation Art Education into Google, you're going to get access to a range of articles. The great thing about The Conversation is that the articles are written by academics and often by researchers. So in terms of IELTS, this is a gold mine because a lot of these writers are giving their personal opinion, personal opinion, but professional opinions, probably a better way to put it. And they've often done research into the area as well. So you can look at their opinion, you can look at their studies, look at their research and integrate that when it comes to writing your own task too. So check out The Conversation. Another really good resource is The Guardian. If you type in The Guardian, music education or art education, you're also going to find some really interesting articles. And we have a resource for you as well, our E2 IELTS topic toolkits. These are resources that we release regularly. This is the art topic toolkit. And each one contains essay topics on that theme, as well as speaking questions, in this case around the topic of art. It has a sample essay. It has a list of 15 to 20 words related to that topic, as well as this, which is what I really want to talk about, the resources section. So here we've already done the Googling for you, and we've found a bunch of things for you to read or listen to or watch around the topic. And all you need to do is just click on the link and you'll find an article like this one, for instance. And once you're there, of course, you can just read the article quickly to get the overall point, or you might want to read a bit more deeply, looking for the writer's opinion, looking for the evidence that they've used, the explanations that they've given. You could transfer some of the words into your vocabulary system, your book, your flashcards, look for academic collocations. You can also write a summary of the article, or a summary of paragraphs as well. A great way to build your IELTS reading skills at the same time as building your writing skills. From this particular article, I've just drawn out a couple of sentences and I'll show you how valuable they can be. Here's the first lot. Engaging with art is essential to the human experience. Almost as soon as motor skills are developed, children communicate through artistic expression. Notice the collocations here. Engaging with, as soon as, motor skills, artistic expression. Great words and collocations that you could use in your own essay. Also look at the grammar. Here we've got passive voice. Let's see another one. We find that a substantial increase in arts educational experiences has remarkable impacts on students' academic, social, and emotional outcomes. Again, nice collocations, a substantial increase has impacts on, and some really good ideas that you could put into an essay. The impacts on academic, social, and emotional outcomes. Here's another part from the same text. Have a look through and think about what language or ideas you could integrate into your essay. So ideas, collocations, vocabulary. The point is, Googling is a really good idea before your test. But when it comes to test day, how do we generate ideas? So imagine you're in the test center, you're sitting at the computer, or you have your pen and paper at your desk and you've got that essay topic in front of you. Hopefully you just read an article and listened to a podcast on the topic. But either way, you need to generate ideas. How do you do it? And more importantly, how do you then develop those ideas into strong body paragraphs? Now, before we start planning, definitely before we start writing, the first thing that you should do is really read the question carefully, even a very simple question like this, because there's a lot in it. Let's have a look. It starts, all students should study art and music in school. All students, meaning students of all ages, all levels of interest, all levels of ability. They should all study art and music. Even this modal verb is interesting. All students should study art and music. Does that mean it should be compulsory or just available? And of course, our nouns, art and music, both of them. Here you have to think about, are they both equally important? Do you think all students should study art and not music, perhaps? And in school, so is that primary school or is that high school? For some of these, you need to make that decision yourself. The most important part is here. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So this is really the point of this essay. It's asking for you for your opinion. What do you think about it? So of course, you could 100% agree. You might say, yes, all students should study art and music in school, in high school, in primary school. It's a good idea. You could explain whether you think it should be compulsory or just optional and why. And then your essay really needs to get into the benefits of it. You might want to disagree. Perhaps you think art and music are a waste of time and that there are more important subjects students should be doing. You may feel that art and music could be pursuits that could be followed outside of school hours, for instance. Can you be in the middle? So this is a question we get a lot. Can I be in the middle or can I be both? And not really, because you can't say, yes, all students should study art and music in school, and no, all students shouldn't study art and music in school. They are contradictory opinions. However, you can take what we would call a nuanced position where, for example, you might say that, yes, art should be taught throughout high school, but music should not. So that is sort of considered in the middle or nuanced. But before we get into that, I want to look at this, which is the IELTS marking criteria. And the reason that I go on about opinion, clear opinion, is because of the criteria. This is what can make or break you in IELTS. So let's just zoom in on this criterion over here, task response. I should mention, by the way, if you want to know more about how your writing is marked, particularly your task 2 essay, we do have a video. Just click the link to find out exactly what happens and to find out the difference between Band 6 writing and Band 7 writing. So over here in task response, Band 7, the second bullet point says, presents a clear position throughout the response. Clear position. Now, you simply cannot afford to confuse your examiner. If they get to the end of your essay and feel a little bit unsure about what you think, then you're not going to score Band 7. So it's really in your best interest to make your opinion very, very explicit to the examiner. If you don't, you risk being down here in the 4-3-2 zone. Band 3 says does not express a clear position. So of course we want to avoid that and be back up here at Band 7. Notice this really important word though, clear position throughout the response. So in this type of essay in particular, it is not enough to have your opinion just in the conclusion. It has to be throughout if you want to score band 7 or above. You may have a very clear opinion presented perhaps in body 2 and in the conclusion, but the examiner cannot tick band 7 if your opinion's not clear throughout. So just keep that in mind, basically for any IELTS writing task too, but definitely for opinion essays. With that in mind, let's think about how we're going to develop our ideas. And let's say you 100% agree with this topic. You're going to have the same essay structure that we always use, an intro, body, and a conclusion. And we'll just talk about body 1 here. This is really where your idea development is going to come into play. The first thing your paragraph's going to have is a main point, and this is the topic sentence or the first sentence of the paragraph. So in this case, it might be something like, I think all students should study art and music in school because it is beneficial for their academic development. That's the main point you want to make. Art and music have a positive impact on other academic skills. Then you have an explanation. You have to tell me why or how. How do art and music have an impact on other academic subjects? Give me an example or evidence. So you could make up a study here or use a study that you know about, or just draw on an example from your knowledge or experience, as the instructions always tell you in IELTS. The other thing to think about is the effect. Now I've got 2 questions here. So what? So what I mean by this is we might be saying that art and music have a positive impact on other academic subjects. And I'll explain how that happens. I'll give an example or some evidence rather. Then I've got to ask myself, what's the impact of that? What's the bigger impact? So yes, maybe art and music will improve students' academic performance, but how will that affect the rest of their life? How will that affect their future? How will that affect education or society more broadly? So that question there is just an extra step in your idea development, an extra step, a very valuable step. The other question I've got there is if not. And this is looking at the question from another perspective. It could be what do other people think and why they're wrong? Or it could be what if students do not study art and music in school? What might happen there? For body 2, you'd go through that same process, asking yourself, what's my main point? Why? How? What's some evidence to support it? What's the bigger impact? The so what? And what's the if not? What if this did not happen? If you 100% disagree, you're going to go through the same steps. Main point, explanation, example, effect. So keep these questions in your mind. They're really useful for any IELTS essay topic. Ask yourself, what, why, how, evidence, so what, if not. Let's get on to the introduction here. Now, I'm going to presume that you know how to write an IELTS Task 2 introduction, and if not, you can watch our video here on YouTube or learn more in our IELTS course on e2language.com. But of course, we're using the same topic here. In my introduction, I basically want to do 3 things. First of all, I want to set the scene or give you some context for my essay. The second thing that I want to do is zoom in from there onto the question more specifically. So my first sentence might be talking about education in general. My second sentence is going to be dealing with the question at hand, particularly the art and music factor. Third thing I want to do is give you my opinion. Remember, clear position throughout the essay. So here's an example. The school curriculum is a fluid entity, often changing to reflect societal and cultural values. So this is my neutral background statement. I'm just setting the scene, setting the context. Now I'm going to zoom in to the question. The inclusion of art and music in the curriculum, is inevitably a source of much debate, particularly in schools and communities that consider them to be soft or frivolous subjects. Third sentence, this is going to be my opinion. Personally, as a strong supporter of arts education, I feel that these subjects ought to be compulsory in primary school and available as optional electives at higher levels. So when an examiner reads that introduction, there is no doubt in their mind what I think about this question. Now my job is to maintain that consistency throughout the essay and restate my opinion again in the conclusion. It's your turn. I want you to have a go now. I'm going to give you another essay topic now, still on the art theme, and I want you to write your introduction into the comments section below. What I'll be looking for is that clear position. It doesn't matter if you 100% agree, 100% disagree, or take a nuanced position, but I want to really understand what your opinion is at the end of those 3 sentences. Here is our question. Creative artists should always be given freedom to express their own ideas in words, pictures, music, or film, in whichever way they wish. There should be no government restrictions on what they do. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now, before you panic, remember that we're not in the test now. This is the time to get on Google. So have a look at the conversation, have a look at The Guardian, and feel free to share your own resources with us as well. To recap, take the time to put in the work before test day. Use Google. On test day itself, be sure to analyze the question carefully before planning, before writing. Use questions to fully develop your ideas. Do you remember the questions? What, why, how, evidence, so what, if not? And of course, make sure that your opinion is clear from top to bottom throughout your essay. If you need help, we are there for you on e2language.com. Come and join us. You can sign up for free. We have daily live classes led by our expert teachers. You can get feedback on your speaking and writing. We have a full IELTS course, as well as one-on-one tutorials and heaps more. Thank you for watching. I look forward to reading your introductions, and I'll see you in class soon on e2language.com. Bye.